So this interest in stuff corrupts this family. The mother can't love the kids. Main theme. You getting this main theme? This might come in handy in the future. You following me, people? Main theme: materialism corrupts human life. It corrupted this family. And by corrupt, I mean it's bad for it. It corrodes it. The mother can't love the kids. The dad's like a phantom. The mother almost doesn't have anything to do with him because he's not lucky. You have a feeling her love went away because she decided he wasn't lucky. Now, it doesn't corrode or corrupt the family completely. Now, this is important. We're jumping ahead to the end. The mother and father are across town at a party. Paul's rocking like crazy on the horse, and this is where he's getting so agitated, so physically and mentally stressed, he goes into really a coma and dies. The mother on the other side of town senses this. So this is important. D.H. Lawrence is saying the mother-son connection is still strong. From the other side of town, she senses it. She calls up. Hello. The babysitter says, hello. Is Paul okay? Yeah, Paul's fine. Finally, the mother gets so worked up, she goes home. So D.H. Lawrence is making the point that she's not a bad mom. She still has this connection. It's just the connection has been messed up. So materialism corrupts family. Secondly, now brace yourselves. Is Paul having an orgasm every time a horse's name comes to mind? Yes. Yes, he is. So another thing I know from my extensive studies of D.H. Lawrence, I took a graduate level class and we read 4 full-length, and I mean full-length novels written by D.H. Lawrence, and we studied him very carefully for half a semester. D.H. Lawrence writes a lot about sex, and his last book, Lady Chatterley's Lover, was banned because it was pretty much all sex. And when Paul's rocking back and forth on the horse, he is getting sexual pleasure, and he does have an orgasm when the horse's name comes to him. And if you're all sitting there shaking your head saying, it's just Professor Burns, you're being a perverted English professor again. Well, I guess that could be true. But I'll try to make my case. He went off by himself, vaguely in a childish way, seeking for the clue to luck. Absorbed, taking no heed of other people, he went about with a sort of stealth, seeking inwardly for luck. He wanted it. He wanted it. He wanted it. When the girls were playing dolls in the nursery, he would sit on his big rocking horse, charging madly into space, with a frenzy that made the little girls peer at him uneasily. Wildly the horse careered, the waving dark hair of the boy tossed. His eyes had a strange glare in them. A lot of you mentioned the glaring of the eyes. His eyes flare. Again, I've read so much D.H. Lawrence. When the eyes flare like that, it's sexual. His eyes had a strange glare in them. The little girls dared not speak to him. Now, take me there. Now take me there. And he'd slash the horse on the neck with a little whip he had asked Uncle Oscar for. He knew he could get there. The girls are very disturbed by this. Paul only gave a big glare from his big, rather close-set eyes. He would speak to nobody when he was in full tilt. He watched his mother with an anxious expression on her face. At last, he suddenly stopped forcing the horse in the mechanical gallop. Well, I got there! Oh, gosh. He announced fiercely, his blue eyes still flaring and his sturdy legs straddling apart. Where did you get? Asked his mother. Where I wanted to go, he flared back. That's right, son, said Uncle Oscar. So, another description. After the name Lancelot, a winter came to him. His eyes were blue fire. He pursed his mouth tight and watched. Daffodil came in first, Lancelot second, Mirza third. The child, flushed with eyes blazing, was curiously serene. It's like a post-orgasmic moment here. he doesn't want his mom to know. Uncle Oscar finds out, but he's like, don't tell Mom. Of course, no boy wants his mom to know about this. And additionally, when the mom comes home from that party we talked about earlier, she runs up to his room and listens through the door. She stood with arrested muscles outside his door listening. There was a strange, heavy, and not yet loud noise. Her heart stood still. It was a soundless noise, yet rushing and powerful. Something huge and violent, hushed motion. What was it? What in God's name was it? She ought to know. She felt that she knew the noise. She knew what it was. Yet she could not place it. She couldn't say what it was, and on it went, softly, frozen with anxiety and fear. She turned the door handle. The room was dark, yet in a space near the window she heard and saw something plunging to and fro. She gazed in fear and amazement. Then suddenly she switched on the light and saw her son in his green pajamas madly surging on the rocking horse. The blaze of light suddenly lit him up as he urged the wooden horse, and lit her up as she stood blonde in her dress of pale green and crystal in the doorway. It's a very uncomfortable scene, people. She's standing there in her green dress ablaze in the doorway. He's got his nice pajamas on. It's almost some creepy kind of bodice ripper moment in a cheap movie. Paul, she cried, what are you doing? It's Malabar, he screamed. It's Malabar. Of course, Malabar is the horse that does win. So, sometimes students, I don't know what you're thinking right now, are resistant to this reading. And all I can say is, it's there. Trust me on this one, I've read a lot of D.H. Lawrence, and this is without a doubt, Paul is having a sexual experience on the rocking horse. And, you know, frankly, the motion goes along with it as well. Now, there's nothing wrong with this type of experience. However, there is if you're using it to get money, right? So materialism corrupted this family, and now it's corrupting this boy's sexual development. He's using what should be something to learn about, to have a healthy, loving relationship with another person. Well, he's using it to get money. It's some sort of weird prostitution that's happening here on this wooden rocking horse. So two things that materialism has corrupted: family and sexuality. A third that people often miss: spirituality. There are several places in the story that mention heaven, God, church. When Bassett's talking to Uncle Oscar, Bassett was as serious as a church. Master Paul comes and asks me, so I can't do more than tell him, said Bassett, as if he were speaking of religious matters. It's Master Paul, sir, said Bassett in a secret religious voice. It's as if he had it from heaven. In another place, it's as if he had it from heaven. So even the religiousness, the spirituality of this family has been corrupted by this quest for materialism. You shouldn't pray to God for money, unless maybe it's, you know, well, we don't want to get into that, for health reasons or a cure for something, that might be fine. But you don't pray to God so your family can have more stuff like this family. That's a corruption, right? That's a corruption. So materialism corrupts sexuality, spirituality, and family. And of course, what other story have we studied this semester that has a similar theme that you could write maybe a very good paper on? Don't forget, you should all be working on your papers. Yeah, exactly. Good job. You guys are smart. I miss you. The swimmer, right? The swimmer. His materialism, his slightly different, but the excess. And the swimmer in this story have never, ever been more relevant than now. And Our modern age, we're drowning in stuff. There are TV shows about hoarding and storage wars. We're bombarded with advertisements. Right when an iPhone 8 comes out and everybody needs that one. I mean, the image of people standing in line for an iPhone, getting up early, camping out, it's sick. I mean, it's all right having a phone, but it's sick. You've got to be the first one. You got to have the latest. And maybe you're happy for a day. We even have what we call, has anybody ever done this? Retail therapy. You're having a bad day, so on your way home, stop at the mall and buy a shirt. Made by some kid in a sweatshop in Bangladesh, probably. You feel better for a little while, and then the next day you wear your new shirt and somebody says, hey, nice new shirt. And you go, yeah, thanks, it's a nice new shirt. And then the next day, yeah, that's worn off, so you buy some shoes, right? We have this boost by getting stuff. It's what we've been taught. It's been beaten into our heads in this country, and by advertising and capitalism. And we need to fight that, right? And maybe in these really strange times that we're living in with COVID-19, coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, and millions of people lost their jobs almost overnight. Of course, toilet paper stuff everybody's crazy about now. These times we're living in, maybe we're realizing that relationships are what's more important, and we're spending more time home with family. But it shouldn't take times like these, it shouldn't take a short story like this one to remind us that life is about other people. Yeah, you need enough money so you have a roof over your head, food, some money in the bank, right? A small roof. You don't need a big bank account. So you need enough, but you don't need more than enough. And if you can have a little more, hey, yeah, but you don't want to be in debt for something you don't need.